In our main program, we've had to ask the someone object to give us 3 pieces of data, and we've had to ask it 3 times in a row. This is a little bit inconvenient. And notice that it's the main program here that's doing all the work by asking and retrieving the information. It would be nice if we could just talk to the someone object once and ask it to give us all of the information that it's got. So for instance, we should be able to do string information is talk to the someone object and ask it to get all of the information it's got all at once. Okay. And then turn around and print that out. So that these 2 statements would replace those 4 statements. Okay. Let's go into the student class and let's add a function called getAllInformation. Now here's a little trick for writing this type of function. The function is promising that eventually it's going to give back a string. The easiest thing to do is to write a string that starts out with nothing in it. There's an empty string. And then at the end of the routine, we're going to send back that empty string, whatever it happens to contain. Okay? This means that the function's essentially broken. It doesn't return anything useful, but at this point it works. Now you can go back into the middle of the routine and figure out what it is that you want to return. So we'll add to it the first name, we'll add to it the last name, and we'll add to it the age. Now this isn't quite correct because we'd like to actually put in some extra spacing. So we'll tack on that so that each word is nicely separated out. And now we're sending back 3 values. Now notice I wrote this on 3 separate lines. I could have written it all on 1 line, but what I'm trying to do is match up those values with the values that were declared at the top of the class. This makes it really easy to double check and make sure that if I've got 3 lines written there, that I've returned 3 values, 1 for each one of the variables. Now another trick here is that it might be useful if we just printed out the variable names themselves. So for instance, we can make this just a little bit simpler for the viewer by adding in the name of the variable and then printing out its value. This will be consistent here. Add in the name of the variable and then print out its value. And finally for the age, we'll do the same thing. We'll add the name of the variable and print out its value. Now, getAllInformation here is essentially a debugging tool. We're not planning on using the information here that's provided in any other way than for just a quick double check to print out all of the values of the object to see whether or not they're correct. Later on, if this were a useful program, what we would probably want to do rather than getting all the information at once is only get out a couple of the different fields. So for instance, if I were looking to print out just the first names and last names of the students, then I would always use the getters because I wouldn't be printing, I would have no need to go and get the age. Okay? So this is getAllInformation is essentially just a debugging tool. And now when you run the program, the only thing we've essentially made the print statements a lot easier to use.